Good evening, good evening. This is Grayson Marshall Jr., the metacognition maven, the guy that gets you to believe in you, and my man who's always with me,
Dr. Adrian A. Never forget the A. Gentry, the guy that makes you choose excellence in every part of your life.
I'm excited about tonight.
Tonight's going to be crazy.
It's going to be nice. And, and I think we wanted to do something that would kind of get people away from all of what's going on.
Correct.
You know, Jacksonville just got hit with mandatory mask requirements, and that's just sparking up a whole other thing in debates. But I was like, you know what? Let's talk about something completely different.
Correct.
Than COVID-19. Let's talk about something besides Black Lives Matter. Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about something that I believe is a topic of discussion. I believe there's going to be some real insight given tonight.
Right.
And please, you all, join in with us tonight. We want you to be involved. We want you to be in the conversation. We think it's going to be, we know it's going to be exciting. The topic tonight is, do me a favor, hit the share button.
Real quick.
Do me a favor, if you're watching, go ahead and share it with somebody. But the topic for tonight is simply this. The non-negotiables of dating. Slash relationships. The non-negotiables of dating slash relationships. Now, Doc, when I say, I'm getting chills, so I know it's going to be something.
Yeah.
When I say non-negotiables.
Yeah.
What does that mean to Dr. Adrian? Never forget the age entry.
You know what? I don't care how fine she is. It will not happen if these things aren't in place. That's exactly what it means to me.
I think people, let me ask you something, ladies and gentlemen watching. Do you have non-negotiables? If you do, type them in the chat.
Right.
My man Chris Allen from
On the Grind.
On the Grind. Hit me up, Chris. I know you're watching, so we're giving a shout out to On the Grind. Follow Chris on his YouTube channel. He does some amazing interviews with On the Grind. But he and I were just talking before we came in here. And he said to me, he said, so Gray, it's the topic of the conversation. I go, yeah. He said, well, what are some of your non-negotiables? And I said, well, I don't want to give up too much because it's going to be on the show. I said, but here's my first non-negotiable.
Right.
They got to love Jesus. That's a non-negotiable for me.
Correct.
Now, I'm not saying that's has to be one for you. And again, I want to hear all of yours. But one for me, they have to love Jesus. Now, what does that mean? That doesn't mean they need to be a theologian.
Right.
It doesn't mean they need to be a Bible thumper.
Right.
To me, it means that they need to live a life of love, respect, giving. They need to have a belief in Jesus.
Absolutely.
They need to have a belief in the Trinity and God. The biblical-based centered things of life they need to believe in. But I don't need somebody who's in full-time ministry. I don't need somebody who is, praying 7 times a day like they do the Mecca and the. I don't need that. But what I do need is somebody that's going to love you. And when I say that, that means that she and I need to. She needs to follow me as I follow God.
Right.
And then I love her. I need to love her like Christ loves the church.
Correct.
So that is my first non-negotiable. Give me your first non-negotiable. Or what do you feel about that non-negotiable?
Now, you know what? Because that's on my list.
Right.
And I tell everybody, I created a list, but my list wasn't like most lists. And, I've shared mine with you. I've shared mine with other people.
And I can tell you, it's not like most people.
It's not like most people. So what I started to look at is the Bible never talked about things. It talked about character. It never talked about dating, right? How to date a person. It talked about their character.
Right.
So what I started looking at is most people have these ridiculously long lists.
Right.
I need this. And I was watching a special one time with Steve Harvey.
Right.
And it was about 6 women on there, and they were talking about they had a list that was 50 people, 50 items long.
Yeah, I remember seeing
the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life, that you would have a list so long, right? So I narrowed mine down, and it actually broke down to biblical,
right,
as well as human resource principles,
right,
to be able to choose the right person,
right.
So mine, of course, was the first one you said,
right.
But mine was more like this: do they love God, study His Word, do they love God, study His Word, and try to live by it? Right. Because mine was a little same thing, but just a little bit different. Because what I noticed, and I have to go back to reference of my past relationship, right? So when I mentioned my past relationship, it wasn't bad. Like, you gotta use big words. It was tumultuous. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, the craziest thing. It was like a Lifetime movie, and I didn't know what was going on. I was completely confused. Then I go back to my divorce. That was, it's not even a word for that. But, right? So one of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to come up with a way, right? And do they love God? So study his word and try to live by it.
Right.
That doesn't mean you're a Bible thumper. That doesn't mean you're all in the church all the time. Everything is Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Yeah. But we needed to have a standard to our relationship. Correct. Right? Correct. So if I'm wrong, I need you to be able to say, look, baby, scripture say right here.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I want that woman to do the same thing, because now standards in relationship are hashtag relationship goals. You know what I mean? Like it's the exact same standard. Your friend Pookie and them guy, and it can go either way. You get what I mean? So to me, it's non-negotiable. We need to have a standard in our relationship. Right. Your homegirl Nicole can't come in our relationship and tear it apart. Exactly. Because she believes something different than you believe.
Exactly. And I think that's, and when we're looking at those non-negotiables, I think that's part of having Jesus as that piece. Right. Being able to say that, here's how we're gonna handle this.
Correct.
And I think that's so let's get to that one. A non-negotiable for me. And I had this on my list because I had a longer list than yours. And when you showed me yours, it helped me revise mine a little bit. Because I was from the mindset, just like business or anything else, I had to get real specific.
Correct.
Because if I said I wanted a girl who was 5'4", and I left it at that, well, she could be 5'4", 400. I didn't get real specific about it. So I made sure that I got real specific about that thing when I went through it. But that's... That's because look, no, because I think here's what happens.
Right.
We get frustrated because here's the thing, biblical principle works.
Correct.
So if you can speak life into your life, correct, you can speak life into your relationship.
Correct.
So if there's certain things you want from a success basis in your life, monetarily, you speak that stuff. You write it down. You look at it every day. You have literally your affirmations about it. Here's a question. Do you have an affirmation for your spouse? Do you have anything that you speak daily to get God? Because I don't. And I just thought about that when I was sitting there. Because I started thinking about affirmations I have for money and all those other things. But I started thinking to myself, do I have a personal affirmation that I actually verbalize on a daily basis? Because I think about it.
And you know what's funny is on my desk, I looked at it this morning, right? Before I left the house. I actually have an affirmation, right, on my desk. Now, can I tell it to you verbatim right now? Right. Absolutely not. But it was something that we had to learn in one of the classes I went through. Every man's a warrior, right? How dealing in marriage and how we should deal as men of God in our marriage. Right. And I think most people don't have anything like that to continue to speak over their wife and their behavior. And so standard to me was something that was grave. You know what I mean? You know, when I went through the Jewish study. You know, one of the things was principle. Right. And majority of us don't have a principled life and don't understand what we need to be doing in a relationship. It's all based off emotion, right?
No question.
So as long as it's based off emotion and how I feel, I can tear it apart anytime I want to. I can walk away whenever I want to. I don't have to deal with the problems and issues in a relationship.
And I think that's evident by the divorce rate. That's evident by some of the other things.
Absolutely.
But let me ask you guys something. If you're watching, do you have an affirmation about your spouse?
Absolutely.
I want or potential spouse. I think I'm going to go home tonight, honestly, and this is true. I'm going to write that down because I know what I want, but it's not, it's weird because it ain't showing up.
Right.
So I'm trying to think to myself, well, wait a minute. It's not showing up maybe because I don't know what I'm really asking for. So,
and I narrowed my thing, and the reason I did this so it's not showing up. Right. So when you have a list this big,
correct,
and I want people to understand something. When you have a list this big, you have a pool of people this big.
Right.
So trying to find what you're looking for in a relationship is dang near impossible, right? So what I did was I narrowed my list down to the things that I cannot deal with in people, right? Like I'm looking for certain types of personality.
Right.
That way I open up the type of person that I can. So now I see people, I can see the opposite sex in a different light. But when we try to place all these stipulations on what it should be, then we miss out on the greatness of those people.
So let me ask you that right there. With that mindset, can you find yourself settling?
Settling for what?
So if I reduce my list from this big, so let's say this is my intentional list. I got 20 things on it.
Okay.
Those are my intentions.
Okay.
And if I use your philosophy, I got to reduce it down. Am I settling because I left some of the other ones off?
Well, the reality is, why is your list this big? So I have to ask that question.
Okay.
Why is your list this big? And how many things on this list are super duper superficial? Right?
Oh, I would say a bunch of them on mine.
Right. I mean,
I ain't gonna lie to you.
No,
I would say a bunch of them superficial.
But what I'm saying is, some of them that may be on that list are based off of your own insecurities. And I'm not saying you. I'm just saying in general.
True.
It may be based off of your own insecurities.
Right.
It may be based off of not even something that you wanted, but something somebody told you that you wanted.
Or completely different from what you had last time.
Exactly. Right. And that's what most people do when they get out of a relationship,
right.
get something completely different.
Right.
They're running from those those superficial demons. That's right. what I like to call them. You know, the age, skin complexion, right. you know, superficial demons, right? They were that age, so I ain't never date nobody that age again. But what we're doing is, what I did is, it wasn't necessarily superficial. I talked to a girl one time, she's about 45, right? She says, look, I used to date a professional football player. I've had that life. I've had that money. Mm-hmm. She says, Adrian, I'm at that point in my life. I don't need a man with all that money anymore. I need a man to lay in my bed at night and protect me like I have and hold. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So her list dwindled down a lot. But I realized that we're so far away from elementary school that we have forgot the ABCs. Mm-hmm. And let me explain. ABCs. ABC should be the very things that are not superficial, right? So we should be looking for honesty. We should be looking for someone to support us. We should be looking for someone who protect us if you're a woman, or someone who's going to be there to nurture us if you're a man. But then our DEFs end up being, I need a nice car, they need a nice house, they got to be rich, right? So we forego the ABCs and get out of line because we're looking at the DEFs. So until we start getting back in focus and say, what is really important to me? I don't need a person to do anything for me. I cook. I went to school for cooking. Right. I don't need a woman to come in my house and cook for me. Right. I clean up. My mama taught me in elementary school how to do the folded corners on the bed, right? I don't need that out of a woman. So I'm not looking for that out of a woman. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I think, so let's stay right there. So we're talking about those specific things. Right now, if you just tune in, we're talking about the non-negotiables of dating. And we've talked about some lists. We talked about the first non-negotiable is their relationship spiritually. That has to be sound. Mm-hmm. But Doc just alluded to the ABCs and DFs. And I know women who will say, and we'll go here twofold, I got to have a man with that bag. He got to bring that bag.
Right. What you got?
So then the other one say, right. I don't need no man, right? Because I got all this over here.
You lying too, but well, I mean, let's be honest with you. Let's really be honest.
Right.
A lot of times, the things you put on your list is so you can have an excuse not to be with anyone.
Say that again.
Many times, the things you put on your list are so you have an excuse not to be with someone. See, I can't find the right person. Right. Really translate many times. So I'm so fearful of being hurt again.
Right. No doubt.
Right? So I make this list so long that no one can ever live up to this list. No one can ever live up to the things that I say I want. So we have to be careful that most of these people, and I look at the people on Steve Harvey show, 50 things on your list, you want somebody perfect. No, you sound fearful. And you're trying to get into a perfect relationship, microwave society, right? That nothing can ever go wrong, which will never happen.
And things are going to go wrong. But we're talking about these non-negotiables. So let me ask you this. I'm going to throw some things out there. Mm-hmm. Is physical attraction negotiable or non-negotiable?
Physical attraction would get you in the door. I'm just being honest.
So is physical attraction, is that a non-negotiable?
To me, absolutely.
Yes, it is for me too.
Absolutely.
So I want y'all to chime in. Do looks and physical appearance have anything to do with a non-negotiable? Now, is that vanity? Is that vanity if... Look, is it vanity if you want that person to have a certain, and is there a look?
You know, I think you're attracted to what you're attracted to.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. I really don't feel as though that's even a negotiable, right? Because you're attracted to what you're attracted to.
Right.
You never just start looking at somebody and say, will they be my wife or my husband if you're not attracted to them?
I got you.
So I can't even see that as a non-negotiable. That's something that is built in you. You know what I mean?
I got you. So looks are an appearance, and I go. What about dress? I heard somebody. I saw this meme the other day, and I'm glad we started talking about this topic because the meme said if a man is dating you and he's living with his mama, then he's not marriage material, or he's trying to get his house. He lives with his mama trying to get his house. How important is the bag? Because here's what I said. I want somebody who wants to build something with me.
Correct.
So, am I supposed to have the bag before you build the bag with me? What is the real requirement to people, or what is that a non-negotiable? Because I know for some ladies, it's a non-negotiable. They might say it's not, and you can lie if you want to, but for some ladies, it's not, and they frame it this way: I don't need a man to do anything for me. And you and I have had this conversation before. Anybody who comes off that way isn't really gonna get a good man.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you're not gonna. Truthfully, when I hear that, and I'm just being honest.
But yeah, look, this is what we're gonna do in this show.
I'm gonna be 100% honest. When I hear a woman that talks so much about finances, it's a complete turnoff. Complete turnoff, right? Me, I've always had the desire to build with someone.
Correct.
Right.
I'm the same way.
But if you have it, I have it. We come together, we build an empire. But I've always had the desire to build with someone. You know what I mean? I believe in the whole team atmosphere. I believe in I support you, you support me, let's go after it. Maybe I want to call it Bonnie and Clyde, whatever you want to call it, but I believe in supporting whoever I'm with, and I seek that.
Right.
Vice versa. You know what I mean? I don't think this is a one-sided relationship. You know, I don't look at one-sided relationships where I'm supposed to be here financially taking care of everything as you, I don't know, eat bonbons. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And wait for me to take care of everything. I've just never seen that as a strong relationship that I would want to be in.
This is 904 Live. This is the Real GM show with Dr. Adrian Never Forget Dave Gentry. All right, I'm going to get to the real jump.
Yes, sir.
Is sex non-negotiable? Now, here, and let me say this. Is intimacy, I'm going to use every term here.
Use physical intimacy.
Yes, yeah. I'm going to do them all. Right. Is intimacy important? Number one, is that a non-negotiable? Then, let's break this down. Is sexual intimacy a requirement or non-negotiable for dating or relationship? Because see now, and the reason I'm asking this is because my question to you, Doc, is it, and Mr. Petty, you can join on this. My question to you, Mr. Petty, man, so you can do it. But here's the deal: is the question is. Should it be okay to test drive the car before you marry it?
Listen, man.
I'm just asking.
There's some Christian folk on here. So I'm trying to be diplomatic as possible, right? That's non-negotiable, sorry. I'm gonna be real right now. Jesus, I failed you. But I need we say you know my heart. But I'm sorry. It's just certain things, you know what I mean? Like, I can't get married. And I'm trying to teach. I just can't do it. It's not.
So wait a minute. So again, for all you out there, again, please chime in and answer this. What if? Okay, so according to biblical principles, we should wait to marry.
Correct.
To consummate the marriage.
Correct.
So, as kingdom-minded men, is that something that should be adhered to?
Well.
And
No. It's not a should be. It should be, right? It should be. It's not a question, right? So you know, I did the whole celibacy abstinence thing for like a year and a half, and I was just trying. No, because really, what I wanted to understand is I wanted to be intimate. What I realized with me is if I'm not emotionally and mentally attracted and attached, if there's not that type of mental and emotional intimacy, then physical intimacy wasn't for me. You get what wasn't for me with that person. So I wanted to be able to develop relationships based off of something that wasn't physical, something I had never did before in my life. Right? Is it a non-negotiable in a relationship? Listen, I'm just being honest here. You know, some gargling, some. Listen, we're on the Christian type show. Let me get back to it. Yes, you know, we definitely shouldn't be having sex, but it's non-negotiable.
And I think that's, and the question is really, and we're making light of it to keep the energy here, but we're being serious about it, and we want you to be serious. So don't take our laughing at it as in jest. I think it's really about being older and really, for some people, making the next step. And I don't know about most people, but if they have another relationship, they probably want it to last. Correct. So I think you talked about fear earlier, fear about getting hurt. I think all those things become a part of that. So I think the question is, in non-negotiables, I think you talked about intimacy and physical intimacy as a non-negotiable, and I would agree as well. I want you all to chime in and let us know what that's all about for you, because knowing someone at an intimate level, I think is because here's what Chris asked me. He said, if you meet the person that you're attracted to, if she met all the criteria emotionally and mentally for you, and then you got into it and something happened, the physical wasn't there, right. the trust wasn't there,
right?
Are those things that can be fully vetted before you enter into a relationship? Because there's a school of thought that says, well, let me find out all of it first. Let me find out if the sex is good. Let me find out if the conversation is good before I get in. Because I think, like you said, they're replaying what went on before.
Correct.
So I don't want to do that again.
Right.
But do we get in the wrong order at that point and saying that it's that important? Because, I mean, truthfully, I think it, and I talk to couples that are married and happily married for years. That's a big part of it.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a major part of it.
Absolutely.
And the absence of it, or the lack of, and I don't want to say focus on it, but the lack of it being a central part of what goes on seems to be part of the reason that relationships seem to drift apart.
Right, and I think I still believe it goes back to the emotional and mental aspect of relationships, right? And when we jump into relationships, we're really jumping in on emotion, right? We're looking at the dopamine. We're looking at the chemical things that are going on inside of our body. So of course you mentally and emotionally you feel like you're connected to the other individual. I believe when that begins to, the sex is always great then. You get what I'm saying? I don't think any relationships has come together and y'all like, well, the sex whacked, so we still gonna be in a relationship.
Right.
I think the emotional and the mental was there. So as time goes on, the emotional and mental begin to lack. So therefore, the sex begins to lack, right? So I think really being in a relationship, and I think that's the most important part to me, period. Because in my past relationship, emotionally, she was dead, right? We could laugh, we could joke, we could play together, but when it came to anything about support or having to be open and vulnerable, she was completely dead. And I know in that relationship, I really found myself not even wanting to sleep. I mean, we're in the same bed, not even wanting to sleep with her due to the lack of emotional intimacy.
Now, I was about to go there because one of my non-negotiables is this too, Doc. I'm not going to have someone's not on my team. That's a non-negotiable for me. And I think that's important. I want the person I'm with to be my biggest fan. I want them to, and again, we're not talking about having them drive your life and your behavior.
Correct.
I'm talking about somebody that you want to get up for and go be the best for.
Right.
And it's personally driven. You should want to be the best for you. But there's nothing better than having a reason.
Absolutely.
An intimate reason to get up and say, you know what, I got to go make this happen today for Shorty.
Absolutely.
Make it happen today for my kids. I mean, that was always my driving force as a father, was I got to make something happen for my kids. I don't have time to rest. I don't have time to do those things. So that's a non-negotiable for me. Right. I need you on my side. I don't need you to always agree with me, but I need you on my side. I need to know that you got my back. I need to know that we can argue at 9 in the morning,
right? And
if somebody comes to do at 10 with some drama,
you still there.
You got my back.
Absolutely.
So whatever we were arguing about right now, hold on, bro.
Right.
We're not gonna do this one right here.
Right.
And that's that. What about you?
No. And my second one, it's like what you're saying, right? So my second one was, can we talk about anything and everything, good and bad, right? And that was the whole premise of being completely connected. So in the research I've done for my book, The 6 A's of Intimacy, I've noticed that one phrase has been used more than anything else to talk about two people that have been married for long periods of time.
Right.
And that was best friend, right? So that's what I began to look for in a relationship. Can we talk about the good and the bad? Because like I said, my last relationship, it was all about, we had fun. We can laugh, joke, play, talk about what we cast, vision, everything.
Right.
But when it came anything negative, I mean, the smallest minute thing, she would never mention it. So she literally walked around mad and would go from me and go tell her friends everything that went on in our relationship.
You said best friend. If you're out there dating or you're married, let me know if you're married to your best friend. Right. Let me know what that means. Don't tell me if you are. Let me know what being with your best friend means, because I think what you described, Doc, people be okay with. Someone I can laugh with, someone I can joke with, someone I can. I think they would. I think the majority of people might consider that their best friend.
But we've been conditioned to treat our friends better than we've been conditioned to treat people in a relationship.
Let him say that again. Oh my God, he got to say that
again.
We've
been conditioned to treat our friends better than we've been conditioned to treat people we're in a relationship with.
So why is that?
We look at the world today, right? So in a relationship with your best friend, it's based off of how much suffering you guys have been through together, right? So they've been through thick and thin. They've been here since we were kids. Right. They done stood through 2 relationships. They've been by my side. In a relationship on the other end, right? We measure that based off of happiness. So in a friendships relationship, you'll automatically give that person more grace than you'll give the person you're in a relationship with. Because as soon as you get angry, frustrated, and mad, as soon as you get frustrated in a relationship, you've been conditioned to, you got to be happy, you might want to leave. As where in a friendship, you will argue, fuss, and then call each other the next day and say, I'm sorry. So we have to get back to that's why I say my biggest thing was being with my best friend, right? Because I understand that person will give me more grace. I understand that person will with me through thick and thin, not just how they feel today emotionally. And we have to learn how to do that with the people that we're in a relationship with.
I hope that all y'all I hope that all y'all are getting this. I hope that all of you all are really hearing what we're saying tonight. We're talking about these non-negotiables, and I think some of you may be looking for a list. And I think it's not a list. It's about a dialogue and a mindset. I think when you talk about non-negotiables, I think it really is about a pattern of thought more than anything.
Correct.
How do you feel about being in a relationship yourself? Because you mentioned this. You said happiness, obviously, we know is external. And I think most people look for that. Who's going to make me happy?
Absolutely.
Well, I remember Will Smith and Jada talking about this one time. And Will made, and I thought it was one of the most outstanding comments I'd ever heard. He said, it's not my job to make her happy.
No.
It's not her job to make me happy.
No.
It's my job to be happy. It's her job to be happy.
Absolutely.
And the 2 of us together bring a different connection when we're both happy.
Correct.
Do what we need to do. He said, now I can add to her happiness. And she can add to mine. But if I'm waiting on her to make me happy, if she's waiting on me to make her happy, then we're never going to go anywhere because we're standing still. We're not growing. So one of the things for me, a non-negotiable for me, as we moving forward, is you have to want to grow.
Absolutely.
I have to have somebody in my life that wants to grow. And people that are emotional only. And again, women, ladies, understand this. We understand that you all are more emotional than we are. We get that. But you can't be emotional about everything.
No.
And I want somebody who wants to grow with me. I want somebody who wants to be further ahead with me.
Correct.
I got a client right now, Doc, who is struggling with that, younger girl. But she's struggling with that because her comment was, I knew it was challenged before I got in it. And because I want to talk about that too. She knew it was challenged before she got in it, and now she is growing. He's not. And because of his background, he's challenged by her growing. Came from a culture where women are beneath men, women keep quiet, and she's the driving force, she's the leader. So when you look at these things, building something with somebody is important to me. They got to be willing to grow.
Correct.
And I'm going to ask you this question. Can you vet that before you enter into the relationship? Can you actually deal with that? And what would you have to do so that those things can show up? So you say, not that.
My number 3 on my list, right? It goes, I think this falls directly into it, right? Yes. So my number 3 on my list was the thing I'm looking for emotional and social intelligence, right? So the thing you're talking about is, do they have the ability to grow, right? That falls under that category. So are they hyper combative, right? These are all character traits. You can actually view these. So if you look at a human resource officers actually look for certain things like this.
Right.
Do they have to take credit for everything? Are they blamers, right? Do they love to argue, fuss, yell, scream, right? These are all emotional things that you have to be able to identify head on. And not literally, I can identify within. Look, I remember you dating somebody, and I told you from the beginning, not the one.
Right.
No, because I can actually see that she dealt with so many insecurities that I knew she wasn't the one. Even though she talked the game, I knew she wasn't the one. And then once you start identifying and looking for emotional intelligent traits, And when you don't see them, when you start seeing the deep insecurities, when you start seeing, okay, as soon as y'all sit down, y'all talk, what happened to your past relationship? Oh, they did this, and this. What happened to the relationship? Oh, they did this, and this. Oh, what happened to, oh, I just can't find nobody good. Wait a minute. You're telling me right now that you don't take ownership for anything that you do.
Right. Right.
So how could you possibly be the type of person that grows? Because a person who's emotionally intelligent is always introspecting. They're always looking at themselves to find out how I can be better. And then a person who does not grow, what they want people to do is always be responsible for, one, their happiness.
With that said right there, can that be hidden well enough to get you in a relationship? And then here's the question. Once you find out that that's the case, is it then, okay, so you entered into it, didn't know it was one of your non-negotiables.
Right.
Everything was fine, and then all of a sudden, this shows up. At that point, because it's on your list or it is a non-negotiable in your life, do you stop it then?
Who me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm out, buddy. I'm out. I missed to cut him off. I missed to cut him off. No, I tell, and I laugh and I joke and we talk about this all the time. But you're not going to yell and scream at me.
Right.
So I'm literally prone. I'm literally watching how you interact with not just me, but yourself.
Right.
You're not going to yell and scream at me. That tells me that your level of emotional intelligence is not in line.
Right.
And I look at this, was it? Payne says, no, not true. Both men and women are emotional. Absolutely.
Right.
Men have the exact same emotions as women. We just, most of us have never been taught how to use them or how to identify them. So you're absolutely right when you say that. But I don't let anyone scream at me.
Right.
It's not something I do. I don't do arguing. I don't do fussing. I don't do screaming. If we can't talk this out or we both step back for a second, calm down, and speak like adults, that's a non-negotiable.
Right.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm going to be honest with you. So so if you that person, I remember I was supposed to go on a date with a female one time, right? Like we were just going to get coffee, right? Because I do the coffee thing, so I know. Right. Let's just talk real quick. We may not go past coffee or tea, whatever you want, herbal. So I tell her, I said, look, let's try to, let's meet up for coffee or sometime. I said, I may not be able to do it today.
Right.
I have a meeting, and I don't know how long it's going to go. So I wasn't able to do it.
Right.
So she literally called and started fussing. And I'm like, wow. And I see what type of man you are. You're non-combative. First of all, why would you want to be combative, right? Conversation over with. But no, once you start seeing these traits, run. Like, stop making excuses for it. And that's what I say, the ABCs, right? Because if you keep your ABCs in front, you'll make excuses is that DEF is strong enough.
Right.
And that's why most people end up in toxic relationships. Because the look, the body, the finance, they'll make excuses for the things that people do.
Toxic relationships. You talked about people not wanting to own and take their own responsibility for this stuff. One thing I made sure that I did in my life was, you know what? It's on me. I allowed it. I was a part of it. Here's where it went. I have no problem with that. But I think, Doc, and this is what I want to ask you right now. When we're looking at emotional quotient, because she said, but men have emotions too. And I don't think, and I hope we weren't sounding like women were the only ones that had emotions. But I think men, and again, we're talking about both sides of this, men have been emasculated. And I think that it goes without saying sometimes that men have been hurt too.
I got to get this one.
Okay,
we got to talk about this one right here, right? And it says, how you were in your last relationship will be different with the next. The right connection will change you. I'm sorry. No, it won't. No, it won't, right? You practice how you play.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So if you're broken in one relationship, guess what you're in the next relationship? Broken.
Unless you're healed.
Unless you're healed, right? The word in the Bible, single, means whole, right? And most people don't spend enough time getting whole when they're single, so they jump right into another relationship and the same problems trail you. So never believe that the right connection is supposed to change you. That's not true.
No, and I said this too the other day. I was talking about prejudice. And I was talking about it being an element of who we are in the world. And I also said this, it has to do with relationships. You're prejudiced about the new relationship because this person has never done anything to you.
Correct.
But yet you are bringing that over here.
The garbage, the trash.
So you're prejudiced already on what this could be, might be, or potentially come. So The prejudice we have is a dislike for or looking for something to make them not be what we need them to be
Absolutely.
or what we want them to be.
Absolutely.
So until you mentally change, until you mentally make that shift when it comes down to it, you're going to keep bringing the same stuff with you.
Every time. And we don't understand that. Many times the things, fear is supposed to save us when there's something
life-threatening.
Life-threatening. That's when fear is supposed to save us.
Right.
But many things that the people call as protecting themselves are actually the things that's causing them the most pain.
No doubt.
Right? So you holding back, and I always think of it like this right here. And every time I talk about it, I kind of get two people to stand up, right? Two things you can't do at the same time is move forward and hold back, right? So just think about the mindset of a person trying to move forward and hold back at the same time. So you look crazy going back and forth, trying to hold back and move forward.
Right.
So when you're holding on to all the pain and frustration that you've had in the last relationship and that hurt, what you're doing is literally holding back. So subconsciously, what you're telling the other person is, I'm not interested, right? And you're pushing them away. Don't realize you're doing it because you think you're protecting yourself. So when they begin to pull back, then you begin to move forward. When you begin to move forward, then they're thinking they're playing games. So they begin to move back, right? It's like an on and off switch. When one person's on, the other person's off. So what I find is a lot of people believe that they can move on to the next relationship and it's going to be okay because I'm with a new person. No, you have so much more drama inside of you, so much more pain, so many more walls that you've built up that you cannot move forward with anyone else.
And I said this one time when I was doing, we've done these type of things before, and I was talking one time, and I said, people build brick walls as boundaries.
Absolutely.
And I said, here's a better concept. Build a chain link fence with barbed wire at the top. Because that way I can see through.
Absolutely.
I can see you change. If I build a brick wall, you can't see me and I can't see you. I'm still only estimating and I'm only hearing what you're saying.
Absolutely.
But when I've got the chain link fence there, I can see through the chain link fence. I can still keep my boundaries where they need to be.
Absolutely.
You're not climbing over.
No.
But I can see everything that's going on. I think, as alluded to what you're saying, we get so hung up on what happened before that we insulate ourselves.
Correct.
We don't allow ourselves to grow because you can't. If you can't see the outside world, you don't even know how you look to someone else.
Absolutely.
And that's why I believe the chain link fence analogy is there because they can see you. Because then they have a chance to decide whether you changed or not.
Absolutely.
Transparency, vulnerability, two words that Brené Brown talks about a lot. Vulnerability, from no doubt. But transparency, another non-negotiable for me, Doc, is not being transparent, not being vulnerable.
Absolutely.
I can't go in this thing if you're expecting for me to hurt you, expecting to get hurt.
Absolutely.
And if you're not transparent about where you are, here's the deal. What are you willing to lose? And I think here's what people get to. They don't want to maybe lose something good, so they don't maintain full vulnerability. The only way you're going to experience full unconditional love is be vulnerable. I can't worry about you hurting me.
Correct.
I've got to get better at me, and here's what I have to get better at. Better at being discerning, better at seeing the red flags before they're there, and willingness to walk away from what doesn't serve me. So I didn't have that ability before.
Right.
And let me say, I didn't exercise that ability.
You had the ability, right.
Everybody had.
Right.
I didn't exercise it before. So I think for people, when we're talking about non-negotiables, I've said this and I mean this wholeheartedly. I don't advocate divorce, but I much more enthusiastically advocate personal health and sanity and peace. I advocate that more. So if that result means breaking a relationship, if that result means walking away, all the other things that we held true to stay in those spaces were detrimental to who we are because now we're damaged completely. I think recognition of what's wrong allows you to fix it. That's why I think the check engine light is on in your car.
Right.
Awareness that something is wrong allows you to get it fixed before something majorly goes wrong.
Correct.
But how many people ride around with that check engine light on, Mr. Petty? They ride with that light on talking about, they ride, you know what I'm saying? They ride around with it for years.
Right.
With the check engine light on. And then when nothing really happens to the car, they ignore the light.
Correct.
When it really is an indicator of
something's wrong.
There's something really wrong. You need to check this out.
But I think we've been so conditioned with the words "don't quit."
Right. Oh, no doubt. Oh,
don't quit. Don't quit. Don't quit. Don't quit. But people have to understand there's a grave difference between quitting and letting go.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And the biggest difference is this: Quitting means I didn't give it my all.
Right.
Right? I quit. I did not give it my all. Letting go means it's no longer in my control and I did everything in my power. And so once you begin to differentiate those two, if I've done everything in my power, well, some things have to let go because holding on to them hurts even more.
I've seen this now. I think I've shared it before, of a person holding on to a rope and their hands bleed.
Correct. Woo.
And they're sitting there holding on to this rope like it's their relationship, like it's their business, like it's their job,
right.
like it's whatever it was that they feel that they need. Mm-hmm. And the more they hold on, the tighter they hold on to it, the more blood, the more pain.
Right.
When the relief comes, when you just let it go.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I remember one time I think I saw Jay Shetty do an analogy of holding a bottle of water right here.
Right.
And it's not heavy
right now. It
ain't
heavy at first.
No, but the same bottle of water, if you hold it long enough, it gets heavy as heck.
So ripping
tendons out.
Right.
So the same little bottle of water.
Correct.
And I think we do that in there. So again, I talked about transparency and vulnerability. Mm-hmm. One more non-negotiable for me is peace. I'm not going to have my peace.
And here it goes. It says baggage can only be carried if you choose to carry it. At some point, you have to make a decision to want different. Insanity, doing the same thing, expecting a different result.
But do you think people don't want, like the girls before said, she wants something different.
Right.
And she thinks she's going to get it by just switching people.
Correct. And I go back to those superficial devils.
Right.
So what we do, instead of changing who we are,
right,
introspecting, look at ourselves as we form superficial demons. So this is how superficial demons go, right? He or she was younger than I. They hurt me. I'll never mess with anybody younger than me.
Right.
Right?
Right. Right.
So now I mess with someone older. I get into this relationship. He's older. She's older. They hurt me. Wait a minute. Both of them were light skinned. Right? So it's not the age anymore. Right. I won't date any more light skinned men or women. Right?
Right.
So then I get hurt by a dark skinned person. Then I relook at this thing again. All of them were from up north. That's the problem. You get what I'm saying? So we chase these superficial demons, never realizing, well, listen, in school, I learned about the common denominator, right? The common denominator is you. Okay, you've been through 5, 6 different relationships and you keep having the same problems. You ain't picking the wrong person, boo-boo. It's you. It's you. It's something you're doing. Either you're seeing it up front and you feel as though you can change that person, or you're getting in the relationship with a whole bunch of baggage that you thought you let go because you got a new person. People don't just get rid of baggage. It's a process.
Right.
My fourth thing that I tell everybody, my fourth is, do they have the ability to be alone?
Correct. Explain what that means, because COVID-19 has people alone.
Right.
Is alone different than lonely? So explain to them what alone means, because I think that people, and here's the other side of it too. I hear people getting comfortable with being alone, and the Bible says it's not good for man to be alone. So talk about that, because I agree with you. They got to learn to be by themselves, because if they always need to be out in the street, they always need to be doing something. If they can't sit down by themselves,
you can't stand yourself.
Correct.
That's the reality. You don't want to deal with what's
say that again. Please say that again.
You can't.
For the folk in the back, y'all listen real good. For the folk in the back.
When you can't be alone, you can't stand yourself. You can't muster. You can't sit down long enough to have these thoughts go through your mind. You can't sit down long enough to really capture peace. Once again, alone, like you said, alone doesn't mean lonely.
Right.
Like single means whole, right? You're supposed to become one when you're in that place of singleness.
Right.
But when you always have to be on the move, that means you're antsy. That means you have a form of anxiety. You can't stand being by yourself. If you always have to pick up the phone, talk on the phone, there's something that you have to deal with internally that needs someone else to validate you. So I look at that in women, I look at courting. How often are you on the phone? How many people are in your circle? How often do you have to be out and about? Can you be home by yourself, watch TV, read a book? Because at that point, I know you have a calm mind. But if everybody's always pouring something into you, your brain can never be at peace. It can never be be calm. So if you went from relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship, you have no peace. And you're looking for someone to truthfully make you happy. You can't stand you.
And that, and that speaks volumes to where I think a lot of people are in the world today. I know I find myself alone a lot. And I've even made a joke about it. I come home, nobody calls me.
Right.
I come home,
and I'm good,
and nobody talks to me. And I find myself that way. That's why I said I know that I'm maturing in such an amazing way. And here's what I realized too: the clarity of my thinking
is completely different.
It's completely different. I mean, I do podcasts every morning, you know that, and the thought process to make sure I'm doing something every morning is not taxing.
Correct.
It just really, really isn't. Now, I think that being alone is something that, and you really put it on them right there, they can't stand themselves. Mm-hmm. But if you look at them, they appear to be full of life, full of zest, full of zeal.
Absolutely.
Very confident. Mm-hmm. And I think they'll make the argument that they can be alone, but the behavior speaks differently.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you cannot sit by yourself, right? If you need someone to always be around you, that shows a lack of confidence to me, right? If I have to be partying, we have to get dressed up. We always have to be in front of somebody, limelight. That shows a lack of confidence to me. Nothing's more attractive, and I'm going to tell women this, nothing's more attractive to a man who knows himself and is confident than a woman who is truly confident in herself, right? Real confidence, not the fake stuff, not the acting confident, right, not the pretending. You can see real confidence in a person.
Right.
I can't see that in movement. Now, business, that's one thing, but can you be alone in any other time?
And I think that when we ask them those questions, I'm gonna check mine real quick. Mm-hmm. When we ask people those questions, their answers, I believe, though, Doc, are genuine. I believe they literally feel like they are doing the right stuff or they're growing and healing. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this. What is the indicator that somebody's healing? What's the indicator that somebody is actually, I guess, ready for
a relationship?
That new relationship.
I think it comes over time. I think the things don't bother you no more. When the person doesn't call you back, you don't take it offensive anymore, right? Because that's what you're looking for. If the person doesn't call you right when you call them or text them, and you're trying to figure out, why aren't they texting back? Do they really like me? When that calms down and you get to a point where, you know what? If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I don't have to be validated anymore. I'm not fearful that this person is going to try to get over on me. I think you have to work through that process before you can honestly say, I'm ready to be, if you're single, I'm ready to be in a relationship that's healthy.
Let's define a healthy relationship.
Healthy relationship.
I was about to go there. So we're talking about the non-negotiables of dating, and we've kind of gone fully into a lot of the aspects of it. But if we're talking about dating and healthy relationships, what does that look like? What is a healthy relationship? Is there a time frame, Doc, that people should court? What's actually courting nowadays? Because I believe today is different than any other day. Because the dating world is a app world now. It's a very high tech, low touch world. It's a texting world. And I'm gonna be honest with you. Here's another that goes before me. I ain't gonna text you all day long. Pick the phone up. We're gonna talk eventually. All this texting back and forth. I'm not that guy. Now a short text here and there is gone. But when our whole conversation,
it's through text.
It's through text. No, that's so a non-negotiable for me is pick the phone up.
Right.
And I will ask people, look, can we just talk on the phone? Because that to me is getting to know somebody. Standing behind somebody's text message, to me, is impersonal, and we all know that text messages are often misunderstood.
Absolutely.
Completely.
Absolutely. And I've heard, oh my God, I've heard some dumb stuff. So I've heard some stupid stuff. Like, I've literally heard women say they don't like a man because he said he spelled it "your" instead of "you are." You get what? Like, we've gotten to a point where we find so much negativity in other people, and that's why I say we really need to heal. We really need to understand principles of a relationship. Once again, Payne said it's a case-by-case basis. Absolutely, there is no blueprint for this thing, but I can always look at character, and I know "your" versus "you are" is not a non-negotiable, right? So we're looking for the smallest of things that they're not even relevant. I love this story, and I tell this all the time. I love the story in the Bible when David was found, right? And they went out and they brought all the brothers out. They didn't even call your boy David in, right? So they were standing there. Jesse had all his other sons sitting there. And they looked at one. He was tall, right? And he was like, he must be the next king. He's tall. And he looked at the other one. He's like, he's big. You know, he looks courageous. He's got to be the next king. And God, in my mind, he's just looking at him like, what are y'all talking? What are y'all talking about? Right. And then finally he said, y'all look at a person's statue. I look at a person's heart. Mm-hmm. In other words, I'm looking at the tangible. Y'all are looking at the tangibles. I'm looking at the intangibles. Right. So you're judging people based off of things that are that are superficial. And I think many times we have to get back to principle. Let's look back at character. Let's leave the texting alone. Why? Because like you said, most people look at the text and it's read the wrong way anyway. So you're missing out on someone because you refuse to pick up the phone, or too lazy to pick up the phone, or don't want to be vulnerable enough to talk to someone.
And this new world that people are dating in, I've heard this commentary before, Doc. You got to make them want you, cuz. So when you text them, you don't text them back for like a day and a half. And then, and I said, wait a minute.
I've heard women say the same thing.
Exactly.
Don't text them back real fast. Like, what are you talking about? Like, we've put too many rules and stipulations around something that back in the day when you was in elementary school.
I like you put check here.
Check, yes or no. Let's go back to the basics, right? If they were mean, guess what you did? You didn't want to deal with them no more. Exactly. These are basic principles. But we've gotten so many things put in our mind and our head about what relationships should look like, or what the man should do, or what the woman should do. We're completely confused as to what we really should be looking for. And I'm not gonna lie. You know my story. I loved games. Like I was a goddamn on puppet master. But I was a puppet master. But the reality was I was wrong for that too. And I'm honest with that. Right. It's not too many people that knew me as a teenager that wouldn't be like, man, that guy, his early 20s, that boy, he was hell on him. But at the same time, I matured. Right. I understood more now about who I am. Right. And I did that because I didn't understand who I was. Right.
So take that. We talked about the games and those things. Now, what about upstanding guys? Here's what I hear nowadays.
Now the rule, go ahead.
You're too nice. When you go to open the door for them, when you go to do those things for them, when you tell them where you really are in life right now, and they really throw that back in your face, or you're really being a gentleman. I mean, I've had ladies say this to me. Why'd you do that? Why'd you open my car door?
Confused.
And I said, well, I'm supposed to open the car door. Right. Well, it's almost like offensive at this point now. So
it's confusing to them because nobody does it anymore.
And I don't understand why. Right. So for me, a non-negotiable is you have to let me be a man. Mm-hmm. Meaning, you have to let me lead. You have to let me do those things. Again, that doesn't mean discounting and disregarding you. Right. But to be a man, I want to lead. But I also, and then here's the caveat to it. I want somebody that wants me too.
Correct.
So I don't necessarily want to be the one doing all the daggone chasing.
I'm not. I refuse.
You know what I mean? And I feel like, but so let me ask you this: is that Mr. Petty? Is that the old school way of courting, where the guy does everything
and chase?
You know what I mean? And chases.
I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna meet your energy.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Right. So if you're playing a game that you're playing it by yourself, trust me on that one. I'm not playing with you. I'm going to match your energy. And don't believe it wasn't that he ain't like me no way. He was playing. No, I matched your energy. Right? So if you're not calling, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not trying to play that game, but that's just, I have businesses. Right. I do a lot. You get what I'm saying?
Okay, so I'm like, but Adrian, if you really like me, you would pursue me. You would reach out to me. You would want to talk to me more. Huh?
No, listen, and I'm not playing the game. Understand this. My level of energy is always going to be based off of your level of energy. Right. It's not that I'm not calling because I'm going to make her call me. I'm not playing those games. You get what I'm saying? If your energy matches my energy, we on the same path. Right. If your energy don't match my energy, it's not that I didn't like you. Right. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's just I don't have the time, and I tell people that all the time. Right. I don't have the time to pursue someone who wants me to validate if I like them or not.
Right.
You know what I mean? I need you to be confident about who you are. And that many times the game is because you're not confident in who you are.
Okay, so this has it. We got 5 minutes left. Here's my good. We're talking about the non-negotiables day. This is 904 Live. Please watch all the programming here, guys. It's an amazing place to get some good, intelligent conversation.
Ooh, Chris said this. I got to put this out.
Okay, go ahead.
He said, do we as men want someone that wants us or needs us?
I think so.
No. Do you want someone that wants us or needs us?
Oh, okay. I gotta have somebody that wants me.
Correct.
I gotta have somebody that wants me.
I'm 100%.
I gotta have somebody.
Because as soon as the need is fulfilled, you going anywhere.
Correct.
I need.
Or I'm not necessary.
Absolutely. That was good.
So, in dating right now, here's what I believe based on what I hear from other folks.
Man, we got 5 minutes. Hold on, man. We got 5 minutes. I don't even think we can do this. Mr. Petty, man, we need 10. Can we keep going, Mr. Petty? Is this good, y'all? Do y'all want us to stop in 5 minutes? I have to ask this question. Is this good? Please, somebody do some thumbs up. If this is good and y'all don't want us to stop, please do some thumbs up or something.
Let me ask you this. Dating. The non-negotiables of dating. Can you date more than one person? Now, and here's what I'm asking, because I believe that, and ladies, tell me if I'm wrong, if you and a lady agree that y'all are dating, now,
you see the stare, right?
I was under the impression that you can date more than one person. And if so, what does that mean if I'm dating more than one person? Because I truly believe that, so I guess the scenario that seems to be played out right now is I have to date you, and then you can't date anybody else until this works out or doesn't work out. And if you date somebody else, do I owe you that to tell you that if we're not quote unquote exclusive? I mean, right here is where this area is. So, ladies, I need y'all to chime in here,
please,
because I know women I know that are good friends of mine that are on these dating apps, and they be working 10, 11 of these jokers at one time.
Right.
Making sure the text is straight.
Dating for meals.
Yeah, exactly.
They never get a free. Well, go ahead.
So they keep, and I tell them they keep the text messages open so you can remember what the last conversation was. But the question is, in dating today, is it okay, ladies? Is it okay to date more than one person? And if that is, what's the definition of dating? Because I think the definition of dating to most people is exclusivity.
Please chime in, ladies.
Yes.
Please chime in. No, I don't think you should. Please tell me more. No, I don't think you should what?
Exactly. I want to know, because dating, I think dating before, in my opinion, was I could go out with you on Monday, I could go out with her on Thursday, I could like both of you all, and we just went on a date. But for some reason, if you do that, then you get a new classification.
Myra says until a commitment is agreed upon.
Okay, so Myra, what is that? So
no. She's probably the first one that I've heard that from.
Right, exactly. So Myra, if there's an agreement, does that mean if I go out with you on Monday, and I go with somebody else on Thursday, and I call you up on Saturday to go out again,
you're gonna get attitude?
I'm asking.
I done had that one. I done had that one happen too many times. Okay.
I want to know. So,
and I wasn't even dating them. It was just a picture on Facebook around females, and I got.
So if that's the case, until there's a commitment, that shouldn't be a problem. But you know as well as I do, Doc, and ladies, I'm not speaking for everybody, but I got a feeling that will be anticipatory of catching some feelings.
Listen, I'm telling you, I've had not even dating. Like, hey, how you doing? Who is that? Like, it gets serious in these streets, y'all. For people who dating, I've been the statistic of the dating world. I got off all the apps. It was crazy. So, what's the next one? Until we agree we are exclusive. No, I don't think you should date more than one person. Tanya, please go further on that one. Because I'm gonna be honest. Right. Me, dating, I don't even. I've told everyone this, and I told you this before, and it turned crazy one time. But I tell everyone, I'm looking for a best friend. This is what I used to tell everyone. I'm looking for a best friend.
Right.
So if it transitions to a relationship, I'm happy with that. And I'm not talking about let's be friends so I don't have to commit and we can be sexual.
Right.
I was saying that in reality, because my end game is marriage.
Right.
And that's just who I am at this point in my life.
Right.
My end game is marriage. So we can be friends up until that point. If we begin to transition into a relationship, then I don't understand the whole dating thing. I don't understand it.
Okay, so can you have more than one friend at one time?
Well, we all friends. That's what I'm saying. Even if there's no sex going on, we're friends. But I want to understand the individual that I'm in friendship with. It's to build something. But it's not necessary. I don't understand dating because I never dated. I'm gonna be honest.
Right.
I was a male thought. It was before I got married. The first time I was a male thought. I'm putting that out there. We honest on this show, right? So then I went from male thought to married. You know what I mean? I didn't know what a date was.
Right.
I was doing DVD and chill before there was Netflix. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know what dating was, so I went straight from that to a marriage. And I went right from a marriage and I got out of that. And I loved being married. I enjoyed the partnership of being married, even though that went left, and I got right back into another relationship. So it was hard for me to understand dating because I'm the type of person, if I'm in a relationship with you, I'm with you.
Right. But so how am I going? So what she's basically saying is that when I find somebody I'm interested in, I've got to spend time with them until I figure out that they're not the one. So that's what it's saying. I mean, that's what ladies, I'm asking you that. Is that what you're saying? That if we start talking, and what does that mean? If we talk once a week, once a day, what's the requirements for you to say that we are in whatever, and then I'm only supposed to do that with you and nobody else until we are either not together or decide we're going to be together? I think that to me becomes a challenging part of it. Ladies, I want to know this because I think dating, that word, is different to people, and I think we have to get some sort of understood definition. Obviously, communication is important, but if I take you out on Sunday and we have a good time, and I have a date with somebody else on Thursday, why is that a problem? I don't understand. I mean, if it is, but I know it is.
And I think a lot of women are saying, as long as you're being honest, I'm looking at
But they won't go out with you no more.
Full disclosure.
They don't mind you being honest, but they won't go out with you no more.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, they won't go out with you no more.
Full disclosure, expect the same thing from ladies. No, I don't think you should date more than one. I like Tanya, what she's saying. Until we agree we're exclusive. I like that. Go with the flow. And that was me. Let's be friends.
Right.
This doesn't mean sex. That means, look, come over, we can cook together.
Right.
You know what I mean? We can talk, we can chill, we can chat.
Right.
You know what I mean? Something like that. Let's just friends. You hit the door, I go to sleep. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I wanted to really understand, and that was my whole period of celibacy.
Okay.
Trying to really build deeper, intimate relationships.
All right, that's Friday. That's Friday, right? So it's Friday.
Right.
You do that, y'all chill. Saturday night, she ain't doing nothing. She just roll up to the crib.
Right. What?
Look, she just rolled. Y'all had a good time.
Correct. And what I found was me doing that.
Right.
All of a sudden, I stopped getting called back. You know what I'm saying?
So Saturday, she rolled up to the crib.
Correct.
And you chilling with somebody else.
Right. Man. Hey, I'm telling you, I felt bad, son. I don't get a call.
Here's the question. Were you supposed to call them?
No, I'm saying, even with the call, won't get a call back.
Right.
So it's interesting. I mean, everyone has different point of views. And I like to tell this, I like to say this all the time when we're talking about relationships between men and women, right? We both are more alike than we are different.
No question.
Right? And I think we always get stuck on the Venus and the Mars, and men are from one place, and we're more connected than we really realize emotionally. Right? So I think there's something that has to be talked out from the beginning. If I put my stipulations out there from the beginning, or you put yours out in the beginning, we both need to honor that as men and women, because there is something emotional, and be completely transparent and open. So don't say, oh no, we're going with the flow, if that's not truly who you are.
Exactly. And I think that we're talking about non-negotiables of dating, and I think we finally got to this topic of dating. And so tell me, what is that? Lady, what does dating mean? What does that? You said you've never done it before. I hadn't either. So what does dating look like? What does that really mean? Because to me, it seems like pick one and ride it until you figure out that she's not the one, and then do another one. And to me, I don't know if that's the right way to do that. I don't even know if that's a functional way to do it. Well, I don't know. Ladies, I would love to know what your definition of dating is.
And I love Laura, what she's saying, involving too many people makes things complicated, drama. And I ultimately believe that, right? Because you're picking each person apart and choosing something you like in each individual, right? So when a woman goes on, or a man goes on dates with 5, 10 women, now every one of those women are different in some sort of way. So it may be her physique. It may be her personality. It may be her loyalty or whatever it may be. And so you find yourself, once again, I don't know what I want to do. So sometimes I believe if we're dating, if we've come to this point where we're connected enough mentally, emotionally, then maybe we should be in an exclusive relationship.
I got you.
Don't try to pick apart every woman, because guess what? You're going to find yourself confused anyway. So
is there, and again, we've heard go with the flow, and I heard, is there an amount of time, or there's certain dates, or certain times you spend with somebody before you know?
I don't think it's a cookie cutter. I don't. Okay. I don't. You know, you got some people that meet in high school, first time they seen each other, they've been together ever since.
Right.
You got some people that, they had to play around for 4, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years.
Right.
So I don't think it's a real answer to that question, and I don't think most people need to put time frames on it, because all you do is add more stress to the relationship anyway.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
No, I'm not saying be dating for 20 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, but there has to be a time frame where you say, you know what, I can't deal with this anymore. But that's something you choose.
All right, so let's go here. Is dating still a chivalrous act? Here's what I mean. When you're dating and you're exclusive, when you're non-exclusive, you pick up the check every time?
I do it because I'm used to doing it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I believe that. I'm used to doing it. You know what I'm saying?
So
is it do I want them to pick up checks sometimes?
So hold on. So here's my point. So it really is a man, and I'm gonna get backlash for this. It really is a man spending his money to see if she want to hang around.
That's why we get coffee first.
No, and again, because that's me too. I'm in that mindset when it comes to it. Now, transitioning out, when you're honest about where your finances are, I tell my friend, look, I don't have it right now. Mm-hmm. Here's where we are. Here's whatever. Life changed, and that's wonderful. But at the end of the day, is that supposed to be something that men? So am I not supposed to ask you out until the bag is right? Because we said that from the beginning. Is it about the bag? Because if I'm picking up the check and the bag ain't right, should I even be asking you out?
You know, and I've had this question a lot of times, and I think sometimes when you are in that place of rebuilding, because you know, when I got divorced, I was out. I should have never been in a relationship. Probably should have never been in a relationship. I was hurting financially, mentally, physically. I was out, and I probably shouldn't have been dating at that point in time because I really didn't have the essentials in place, and I believe that, right? I pick up the check because I believe that's what I'm supposed to do as a man. Now, when I see a woman who does say, you know what, I got this time, she gets points. Right. You know what I mean? And I don't feel any type of way about it, to be honest with you. Right. But she gets points for picking up that check because it's not all about me. You get what I'm saying? She's actually saying it's about you too.
What about that being in a emasculated arena? What if she feels like, I'm gonna get it all the time right now?
Well, that's her ish.
Okay.
That she need to deal with.
I got you.
You get what I'm saying? Like I think we have so many belief systems that are just distorted.
Right.
You know what I mean? I look at the music today. It's all about the man need to have money. And the more you listen to this, the more you're picking it up. Right. The more you listen to your friends that's miserable, that's men and women. I'm not saying it's one. The more you listen to men and women who are miserable, who have belief systems that are distorted, they're probably single, they're probably in a negative relationship, a toxic relationship. The more you listen to that, the more many of the things that you believe, I guarantee you right now, if you sit down and write down the list and start finding where you got these belief systems, they're not even yours. Right. They're not even your belief systems. It's someone else have imposed their belief system on you, and you picked them up because you thought it was correct due to who they are.
or it answered a place of pain that you were trying to alleviate.
Correct.
So now I can relate to that because it now makes sense to me.
Correct.
The non-negotiables dating. We got to thank Mr. Petty for these extra 10 minutes tonight. We appreciate you. We might come back and do part 2.
Correct.
Next week because I think there's more and more to get into. I did this before I left though. I did it the other day and I was surprised at how many people chimed into it. The question was, what should the age difference be? Or is there an age difference when it comes to dating? And I got a variety. I mean, there was so many people responding to that. It was crazy. Mm-hmm. But let me ask you, is there in your mind, is there an age formula that works in the world of dating today?
You know me, I'm a numbers person, right? So statistically, after you pass the 3-year mark, the likelihood of your divorce increases, right? So, and it increases by 3%. It's 10% after 3 years, and increases by 3% every year older that person is. Wow. So when people say you just need to go find you someone older, once again, stop looking at superficial demons. Right. You have to look at the individual as a person. You can't stop. You can't look for number. You can't look for an age. You can't look for a skin complexion. Right. You can't look for a car. It's all on an individual basis. So when a lot of people say it. I think Steve Harvey said, well, get you a man who's older. Well, the reality is the older they get, the more likely your chances of a failed relationship.
And less likely they are to change.
Correct.
You know, I said this in the conversation that my oldest daughter, what was that?
It said legal age.
My oldest daughter's 30. Mm-hmm. There's no way that I could date anybody that's younger than my oldest child. Right. Matter of fact, I couldn't date anybody who's close to my oldest child's age. Mm-hmm. So I think those things, and that's just for me. I think that's when it comes to another non-negotiable for me is age. And I've heard people say, well, it doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter if you love each other.
But I ain't dating no 21-year-olds.
No, it's not.
It's not gonna happen.
And so those things, those are non-negotiables for me. Right. Age, there is an age, and I don't know what it is yet, but there is an age that I will not. That's non-negotiable. That will not happen.
This is half your age plus 7.
Half your age plus 7. See, I can't do that because it makes the same age as my daughter.
Yeah.
So I can't do that.
See, you cougaring? You cougaring?
But I think that's it. So the non-negotiables of dating. I tell you what, we'll come back next week and take this into part 2. We'll spend the week promoting it with you guys and getting some of your feedback. And we're going to bring some of your questions and comments onto the show and talk about those things. Thank you for joining us on Monday. We're here every Monday night. Do me a favor, ladies and gentlemen. Jacksonville has said what they need to say. Keep yourself safe. Make sure that compliance over incarceration is a better way to do this thing. So just make that happen. Y'all know how I feel about it, but I'm going to leave that right there. I'm the real GM, Grayson Marshall Jr., the metacognition maven, the guy that gets you to believe in you. And that man right there is
Dr. Adrian. Never forget the A Gentry, the guy that helps you choose excellence in every area of your life.
We'll see you next Monday. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.
What am I doing with this helmet, you ask? Well, I'm helping you get in the game. I'm your host, Satara J, of your favorite sports show, Get in the Game, and I just wanted to remind you to catch us live every Tuesday evening at 6:30 p.m. here on 904 Live Network. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Get in the Game with Satara J. I'll see you in the game.